Well, hello everyone. It's been a long time since I've seen or made another Athena video, and yeah, it's been forever. Um, well, I got some explaining to do, I guess. Uh, well, I've been busy, one thing, but uh, what it is with me, times really the main culprit is that when I do stuff, time flies. That's why I can be working on a project for years and it not seem like a big deal to me. That's actually the truth. That's getting to the point of the matter. I'll work on a subject or I'll do a particular thing and just time seems to fade away and I realize, wait a second, years passed. 2 years has passed. I'm 37 years old. I'm fixing to turn 38. 10 years ago was nothing to me. It's just the way it is. That's what happens when you get older, I guess. But I've always been like that. I get really focused on stuff. But let's get to the point here. Athena and what has been done with Athena so far. Actually, quite a bit has been done. And you know what? I really don't have a list on all the things that I've done in a year. I have done so many things that really I can't keep up with just everything. So I do have sort of a list that I do kind of utilize, but it's not like with updates or anything. It's sort of like all the commands that I have done. Just like I had to keep track of things, certain things that I don't have room in this mind to keep up with. So I like take notes on like certain commands and how certain things are used. So I will show you that because I haven't showed you this before. I'm going to do this now. Click on a button here. Okay. I have a lot of things on this screen. One, I see I have Open Office Writer, which is a free program for those who are interested in getting this stuff. Anyway, you can read it and pause it if you want to, but you don't have to. I'll start at the top and I will start scrolling down while I'm talking. These are just commands and, like I said, little things that I have to keep track of because it's useful information that I have to use. If I'm going to like modify something, if I'm going to add something, um, if I'm going to create a new avatar, if I'm going to create a script for the avatar, if I'm going to add a plugin, if I'm going to um, know what types of search information, how to run my search functions, all kinds of stuff. It just keeps track of certain folders that need to be kept track of. Um, of course, I just got through running through it. It's 17 pages worth of stuff, and I'm always adding to it. you know, and if I need to remember something, I go back and it reminds me of what I need. It's sort of extra notes. The second thing I have here is another important thing that I've been working on all year, which is one of the biggest things that I've been working on, is that I'll go back to the big cam real quick. This whole year has been so interesting for me. I'm just going to say this. I have mostly I do a lot of programming, and I have done a lot of projects out, and I've built things. I've uh, I've been a part of a mule club before. I rode mules, like the animals, and there was like a mule club, and when I was a kid, we'd go riding and stuff, and I've broke mules before. I've not horses, mules, mind you, stubborn little creatures, but fun to work with. And I've done all kinds of things. I've built things, I've made things, I've worked on things, worked on vehicles growing up. I've done all kinds of stuff. But mostly it's like extracurricular stuff, like nothing to do with football. I've never had anything to do with any sports particularly. I used to play volleyball, but with family, so it wasn't like a actual sport thing. But uh, I've done different stuff and a lot of different stuff. But last few years I've been mainly just programming. So at the beginning of this year, right after I made that last video, I was asked to join the theater. And okay, normally there's no way, but this person uh, has a lot of influence with me, and it was a dear friend that just really pulled out all the stops and just about begged me to go try out for a part. And of course, I tried out and I got the role in the theater, in the theater world. And how does this pertain to Athena? Well, one of the many things that helped me decide what I need to do to actually to go up there, besides her influence, was the fact that I'm working on stories within Athena to make Athena more interesting, to add a concept that I've been wanting to develop for a long time. And this was something I mentioned in last year. It was January the 1st, the last video I put up. And I mentioned in that video that I was working on things like that. And so I was having a hard time with it because it's been forever since I've even told a story, let alone, writing something more developed and more intricate. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, a lot of movies. I've read a lot of books. I enjoy stories, but it's been ages since I actually told a story, and that takes quite a bit of imagination and knowledge of people and interactivity to make a story interesting. You got to have a lot of emotion and feeling going. And like I said, I've been programming for the last few years, and just about nonstop. And that wreaks havoc on your emotions. It sort of deadens you to a lot of things. And so I had to spend a lot of time, trying to work out the creative part of my mind again, trying to fill it out because it's just been neglected with all this technical information, technical stuff. Programming is very technical. Logic is the essence of technical. that is technical, and it's usually devoid of feeling and fun. Emotional fun anyway. It's very interesting stuff though, and that's why I kept doing it, but I was neglecting parts there. So I ended up joining the theater, and that was early January, and we did a show called Little Shop of Horrors, and I enjoyed it. I was in the ensemble. I was a bit nerve-wracking, stressful for me because I think I have a little bit of Asperger's, a little bit of that going on, and I'm kind of antisocial, and I love people. I want to be around people, but I have a hard time being around people, and so it was a very stressful situation for me to be there. But I pushed through it with the grace of God, and there were some people there that were really nice people that helped, and I mean everything had to work together because I was stressing out pretty bad. But when I was finished, I missed it. And I found out that that's a thing. Once you've entered into the theater world, you meet people that you really want to see again. You build relationships because usually people who show up to the theater, who do theater stuff, are usually very, very sociable people, and that's the reason why they choose me. It's more like I felt like I was forced, but I was exposed to that world. Now, theater is all about telling stories. It's about emotion. It's about relationships with people and social skills. And so I had to really, really take it to another level. I had to learn a lot of things. I had to grow in this process. And I was doing it, January, February, March, April. I skipped it. There was another show that was coming up, another one that was after me. I think it's called Don't Dress for Dinner. I didn't do that one, but I watched it. Then the one after that was Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma. Literally, I'm in Oklahoma, but it was Oklahoma, the play. And so I was in that. And by the way, I can sing. I've got a good voice. I've got a good bass range and stuff like that. So that's why they wanted me in the play. And not a lot of guys want to be in a play anyway. So, I had a pick of my roles, if you will. So, I was in Oklahoma. I was in, the next one, I was actually in Little Women. And that was actually fun for some strange reason. because by that time, that was the third play I was in, it became more interesting, and I became more capable of dealing with it. And I actually had a bigger role. I played a part uh, uh, um, where I had lines. And for some strange reason, remember, I've been coding a lot longer than I've been in plays, and I could see um, the design of a chatbot just in having to learn and memorize lines, because you had a key on, you had a key at certain keywords had to be said to remind me what did I needed to say next. So in memorization, I had to have little triggers to help me remember whose line is it next and that it's my turn. And despite all the stress of being on stage, you still had to remember those lines. So you had to really focus in on key words. And that's sort of into the chatbot way of doing things. So I started noticing certain things that a chatbot had in common with people, which is very interesting. And so um, I really become focused. All this time, I've been trying desperately to jar my creativity, and so I started working on storylines and thinking about storylines constantly, and talking about stuff, and talking about how to do it with a friend of mine who also loves chat bots and stuff. And on one of the forums, he was been a highly instrumental in my progress with Athena. Mainly not because he's contributed various things, he has given ideas, but mainly because he's allowed me to talk it out. I need to communicate sometimes to realize what I need to do next. So, go back to my desktop. That's a lot of words, a lot of things to say there. Man, I've done so much. This has been a year. I mean, I have a lot to say. Okay, so right here is a sort of a mock script that I was going to add to Athena. And it's about, it's only like 2 pages long there. And then I started wrapping up other ideas that might go along with it in development. And I pull this up because this was my first time really sort of imagining a scenario that I could write into the Athena mind. Now, at the same time, I was also working on basic chatbot functions, not just scripting functions where you have a story. Somebody called it a story bot or a game bot, and that's not really a lie there. It's going to have those sort of functions in Athena, and I'm doing that to make Athena more interesting, not just to detect and respond to various things and be clever in that way. I mean, there's a lot of people doing that, and there's people who actually have natural language processors that can really, truly analyze speech patterns and how things are said, and they can tell you if what you said was logical or illogical. But I wanted to make something interesting. I wanted something like secrets within Athena. I want things to be there that a person has to dig for, and hints being shown. And I want Athena to dream, for instance, and I want revelations to be revealed while she's dreaming, secrets, things that are unlocked. I want the person to want to read a dream or look at Athena dreaming just to know perhaps something is revealed. I want little messages to pop up and happen and occur within Athena that gets you engaged to ask questions to Athena of secrets that might be laden within the brain code. And that's something that's interesting to me. And so this was an attempt at that, and it was a very good attempt. You can read some of it. It's about Dr. Frank. This one script is about Dr. Frank and his assistant, Dr. Suthers. And so I end up writing, even today, not this one, but today, I wrote a longer storyline pertaining to these two characters. And this is like a draft. Not even a draft. This is more of perhaps a brief synopsis of the direction I want to take this particular storyline. And it's very interesting stuff. And there's a way of coding this into the script. Now, I'm going to focus here on this too. So, despite all the storyline stuff, that I was focusing mainly on with a year worth of getting engaged with the theater people. This part right here has to do. Excuse me. Another thing that I'm doing is adding a lot of content within the script itself, because there was a lot of functions that hadn't been added. There was a lot of things. There's different ways of learning that need to be integrated within Athena. Things that I knew about, things that I was readying. I can't pronounce. I can't readying or whatever. There was things I was trying to make it ready for. That caused. I was getting ready for certain code to be added that I hadn't added yet, and there's still a couple of things I need to do there still. But I give myself plenty of time to be clever. There's things I like to add, and basic chatbot functions. There's certain things that just has to be added to a chatbot, whether there's a story or not. There's certain commands you need to do. There's certain basic things like, give an example. There's some stuff here about concerning dreams. There's things concerning that like leads into a conversation. Here's an interesting one I have written. This is like, can you keep a secret? Function, whatever. And what that does, this particular one, it's like as soon as you say, can you keep a secret? And of course, Athena will say, you must tell me a password. And in this particular case, it will store what you say into a password protected database. And in order to get that information out, you have to add a password. You have to say the password to get the information back out. It's kind of like Athena's way of keeping a secret that nobody can unlock, because unless you have the password, you ain't getting into it. This is a very encrypted, deeply encrypted database. So, anyway, it's just all these little knick-knack functions that I've been adding, storing information, and then I'm thinking, how can I utilize this within a larger context? How can I utilize these commands into the story that I'm trying to create? Like, for instance, perhaps something in the story indicates that you need to search a certain particular part of Athena, and you need to give a certain password. If you don't have that password, you can't get the information you need. And so this has a function, a password function, and so I can utilize that within a storyline, and so that you can actually look stuff up in a password position. And by the way, if it's in a password situation, nobody can break that password unless you work for the government, because this is a pretty serious password protection. Nobody can look through the code and find out Athena's secrets if Athena's secrets is locked up under a password. And that password isn't going to be revealed until it's time for the user to hear the password. So there's all kinds of things that can be done. Just throw that in there. So I've been busy. I have been terribly busy and a bit frustrated, because part of this has to do with creativity. And like I said, creativity isn't my stronghold there. It takes time for certain things to be done. I looked on here. There's like 5,000 lines of code just right here. I had it all folded up. You can see it on the left. 5,000 lines of code. I was looking over here. There's 18,000 lines of code. Nearly 19,000 whatever lines of code within this. This is the matrix. This right here is just the basic script of Athena that isn't completed yet. And then if you go to the right, here some of it's covered up with the my face, but you have a lot of stuff here that's actually the code that makes the UI, the user interface, is here too. And so I don't know how many lines of code that's in that. So I've been busy, to say the least. And this isn't bragging. This is the cold hard facts of what I've been doing. Now here I am talking and my mic's been slowly sinking the entire video. Ah, excuse me. Hopefully it don't make too much noise bumping the mic around. Huh. Well, that's funny. Anyway, I wonder if anybody noticed that. So, it's been a while now. I don't know how long this thing's been recording so far. But I'm just saying. I go back to my big webcam. Things continues to progress. I keep getting older. Most of you who've actually paid attention for a while keep getting older. Man, it's good not to think of it like that, but it's been so long that I feel kind of pathetic. I feel disheartened a bit that it's taking such a long time. It's sad. But, you know, I've said this before, even in other videos. I actually enjoy this. This is fun for me. There's really nothing in my life that's really pulling me away from doing a whole lot of things besides theater nowadays. I'm actually going to be in another play coming throughout. I think it's actually going to happen in March, the first week of March, first and second week. Annie, the play Annie. I'm going to be a minor role. I'm too embarrassed to tell you what role it is. And I'm going to be in the ensemble to sing and stuff like that. So I'm still doing that, but again, I've got other things to do. And I tell you what, I really do enjoy this. I really do. No joke. It gives me a certain amount of purpose, and I'll be a little sad to see it go. But one of these days, this thing's going to be finished. Last year, I said I looked forward to the possibility that this thing's going to be released within a year, because all really I had to do was content, and that was partly true when I realized, there was other things I needed to do as well, and there's still more things I need to do. But I tell you what, it's going to be completed. I'm not like adding stuff just to add stuff. This is not a project just to waste time, and it's not one of those things where you just keep doing just to I don't know, complete your life. I don't know. I've heard of people working on projects forever because they always add stuff, they're always doing stuff to it, and they're never going to release it, and that's not really their point. They're black perfectionists. They got all these things. No, I'm actually working for bare minimum here. I want this thing to work, and I want it to be out of my computer on the other people's stuff, and that's really what I mean to do. It's just taking me so long because there's just things I didn't know, and there's a streak of creativity that I didn't have that I had to develop. I don't know. There's lots of reasons there, and it'll happen some point. Better. Anyway, I thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my goofball rant, and perhaps this time it won't take a year before I make another video. I wish I could give you a demonstration of Athena working. Honestly, I'm actually getting kind of close to that. I mean, when I say Athena working, I could actually show you some stuff right now, technically, but I don't. I'm a little lazy. I don't want to. I need to copy and paste it into the main UI so you can see it demonstrated within the user interface. And right now, I have it on okay. When I create Athena's brain, I test this stuff out with a command prompt. And because Athena's brain itself is a separate entity that the user interface uses. So I use a command prompt to actually test Athena's brain out first. And I have to actually copy all the information from the command prompt that I have running in Microsoft Visual Studio, and I have to copy and paste it into the actual brain file within the user interface, and then I can then I can run it there and it's just fine. That's all I have to do, but I'm not doing it right now. I'm just telling you about what's going on. Um, like I said, hopefully I just do something goofy and demonstrate some of it. But really, I would rather finish at least the bare minimum before I demonstrate too much. And actually, a lot of this stuff, I'd rather people find out for themselves. Because I like mysteries, and I like to add mysteries, and I hate to like give too much information away, as well. Anyway, thank you guys for listening once again from the future. It's right now. It's technically it is December the 28th. It's really early morning, and so it's almost the first. So technically, I would just say round it up. Like last year, it was the 1st of January, 2017. And this is just about 2018, just a few more days. So I'm going to wish everybody, well, first of all, Merry Christmas for those who believe in Christmas or celebrate it. And I want to say Happy New Year. And may it be filled with wisdom, love, and happiness. And hopefully with with Athena, the Athena project. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, blessed year. And I really mean that, because we ought to have a blessed year. I mean, it's and it's a personal thing. The world could go down, the world can burn, really, and all kinds of trouble can take place. With people always getting in trouble, but really peace comes from within yourself. Things can go bad, you can still be at peace. I mean, your house can be burning down, and you can still be at peace. It's possible, and you just gotta remember some things. There's important things in life, and some things aren't important. Um, so just remember the good things, remember the right things, and do your best. That's all you can do. You can't do it, and nobody else can do it for you. So you do your best. You do you, and I'll do me, and hopefully we'll all be okay. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and I hope this was somewhat informative. And speak to you later. Bye.